We're heading down the stretch of the NBA season. Will Jayson Tatum play this year? Can a team break through in the Western Conference? We'll tell you what we're watching for in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, except when there are no games because it's during the All-Star break here. But that just means we're going to tell you what we're interested in down the stretch of this season. We're going to look at the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, and a couple of random topics here. But on Wednesday, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
So
Jake, you are adorned.
I am. We're recording this on Tuesday. I'm a little decorated. I'm a little lit up here. It is Mardi Gras Day here on Tuesday where I am. Fat Tuesday in New Orleans. So we are knocking the show out early. I'm going to go celebrate a little bit. I caught all of these beads that you see on me. I caught the hat. You want to see my favorite throw, though, that I've caught this year?
Ooh, yeah.
I caught a rubber chicken that when you hit him, lights up. And listen to this guy. I mean, like, someone threw this to me off of Parade. He's fantastic. Like, the dogs in my house are like running to the door right now.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras is the best.
I have yet to experience New Orleans during Mardi Gras. I've enjoyed, you know me, I love New Orleans.
You do.
I think I've actively avoided it during Mardi Gras because I just think it's a little bit of a mess, but I still feel like I have to do it. I have to do it once.
It's like whatever you want to make of it, you can. We'll get into the actual topics of the show here in a minute with everything. But like you can make what you want of it. If you want to kind of go like the crazy Bourbon Street, like the stereotypical, like what you think of Mardi Gras, that's great. Or you can come by me, which is like kind of family friendly. Like I'm out there with my like friends and his two like little kids that are under 5 and they're having like a great time and everyone's nice. My mother-in-law who's in her 70s was here for part of it. Like she had a wonderful time. Like, I don't know. It's like, think of it like a tailgate without like a purpose and just like good vibes.
Just a constant tailgate. All right, I'm in.
Yeah, there we go. All right, we got John coming down next year. All right, well, let's get into the show actually here and talk about NBA stuff. I could talk about Mardi Gras all day long, but what we're going to do today is now that we're in the All-Star break, it's the stretch run of the NBA season. What interests us? What sounds fun to talk about, and what are we interested in? We're going to look at 2 things in the Eastern Conference, 2 things in the West, and a couple of grab bag topics in the third segment of today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Of course, thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are still here 7 days a week, even when there are no games coming on, but we are literally covering every single game across the association. All right, John, take it away. One thing you're watching for in the Eastern Conference.
Has to be Jayson Tatum. Has to be. I'm going to stick with my guy, my team, but that's the single biggest thing that can change the entire Eastern Conference, because I know, even though I don't know, I know Jayson Tatum is coming back because he's ramping up. He's meeting with the media, as is the NBA rule. When a player is planning on a return and he returns to practice, he has to talk to the media. Notice Tyrese Halliburton has not talked to the media.
Yeah.
That's the telltale sign, right? So he's out for the season. Jayson Tatum is not. They're coming back. He's coming back. They just released a trailer for his docu-series that'll air on NBC. And oh, by the way, they just flexed Celtics Sixers on Sunday, March 1st into NBC. So, you're starting to like, oh, okay, that might be one of the days where he could come back. Early March, I've been saying it from the beginning that Tatum is going to come back in early March. It's right on track. It's right on target. So Tatum coming back, what's he going to look like? How long would it take for him to get to be Jayson Tatum and not, because the first few weeks are still going to be part of his rehab.
Yeah, so you seem to clock this from the moment the injury happened. You're like, yeah, he's going to play again next year. Like pretty soon after, it seemed like they were kind of not telegraphing it, but that seemed to kind of be the indication. So let me ask you, is this early for a dude coming back from that kind of injury? Because it kind of feels like it a little bit.
So I think there have been instances in the past where guys have taken longer. I think the KD one is the one that people think about, but I think there was COVID that was involved. There were delays. There were all that stuff was part of delaying that. There have been guys that have come back at 8 or 9 months, and I think this is right in the wheelhouse. I think doctors think 9 months is maybe on the front end of normal, but it's still normal. Okay. So it's really, people get caught up in the timeline. It's just, these are the boxes. There's a list of boxes that you need to check to come back. And whether it takes 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months, once you're done checking those boxes, you're back. It just so happens that it usually takes about 9 to 12 months for it to happen, depending on the person and their bodies and their system and all of that stuff. So Tatum has checked all the boxes and now is going through reconditioning. He's playing 5-on-5. I personally asked him what your next steps are, and he said conditioning, taking contact, getting used to 5-on-5. That's all reconditioning stuff. So the Achilles is healed. He's just getting himself up to speed. Whatever that is, maxing out the scrimmaging part. Once that is done, it's getting onto an NBA court during a game, which importantly is still part of his rehab. So again, the first few weeks will be, minutes restrictions and all of that. He won't be his normal self. If he can get back to his normal self at some point, he'll still be on a minutes restriction and he won't play 40 minutes in the playoffs, but you're taking like Jordan Walsh out and putting Jayson Tatum in, and that's going to make the Celtics better no matter what percentage of Jayson Tatum that Jayson Tatum is.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is it just that simple of, cool, he fills some rotation minutes to start and those are going to be better rotation minutes? I mean, are you worried about integrating him back into a team that's doing pretty well overall?
No, I mean, there's going to be a disruption, no doubt. But I think he's going to start off coming off the bench. It's going to be a strict minutes restriction to start, right? 20 minutes or so. Bring him off the bench, get him a couple of minutes in the first quarter, take that quarter break, sit down. How are you feeling? You good? Okay, get back out there, play your 7, 8, 9 minute stint, and then sit, get checked out again at halftime, do it again in the second half. You do that until you feel good. That soreness goes away. You can start building up, the lungs stop burning. That is going to cause a little bit of a disruption. But if you do it when he's off the bench, you're not really messing with that starting unit. You're letting Jaylen Brown still be Jaylen Brown. And you're taking a little bit of the pressure off of Jaylen too. So I do think that it'll be a little bit of a bump, but turbulence on a flight, and it's just how bad it's not going to crash the plane. It's just going to be a little bit of turbulence. And then you just hope you find that smooth air at some point, quicker, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's interesting how you pick that, because like what I'm really looking for in the East and what I'm kind of watching is like the Detroit Pistons, the team that the Celtics are chasing right now. They're kind of outperforming, the expectations. Obviously, they've got the best record in the entire league. They seemingly check a lot of like the title contending boxes to me when you kind of look at things, but it also feels like what's going to happen to them, I think, in the playoffs is going to be really interesting. If they go out in the first round because they're young, they're a little inexperienced, they're not ready for this kind of moment, are they going to make like a dramatic knee-jerk move in the offseason? It seems like you could seemingly upgrade a guy like Tobias Harris, and I think a lot of people were wondering maybe why they didn't try and do something at the trade deadline, or do they kind of like rely on the internal growth? And then if they kind of go further, right, if they make a conference finals, not necessarily the finals, do they just kind of like sit tight, or then do they even go for it either more? Like the way their season ends and how it ends is really going to impact, I think, what they do in the offseason.
Yeah, and I think that was the plan. I think the plan was, let's see what we have here with these guys. How real is it? I do think that
you were big on like they should not make a move at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I like that they kind of, let's see what these guys can do. Can these guys step up? Because right now you have the feeling of like unsure, maybe a little bit untested. Although I do think people are overlooking that series against New York last year.
That was a brutal like fight of a series.
Yeah, that's part of growth. Like people say they're untested, but that's part of the test, and that counts. That matters. So they are still young and to some degree untested, but they're not starting at zero. I like that they didn't make a move. I want to see what they have in the playoffs. Now, the opening round, they should not go out in the first round because it's
right. Yeah.
Look at the East play-in side. They're the number 1 seed. They're not going to get caught. So that they're going to have like at least one relatively theoretically easy series.
Sure. But even if they lose in the second round, it feels like that's going to be a disappointment for them, right?
Maybe
depends on who they match up with.
Yes. And how they lose, right? If they lose in the second round, it's did you just get beat? Did you face a tough matchup? Did a player get exposed? And then you say, oh God, there's an obvious weakness. That's actually not a bad thing for the Pistons because this is house money.
Yeah.
This is house money. So looping Tatum into this, it's going to be tougher because Tatum is coming back next year. So the Celtics are more of a challenger. The Pistons, you would expect them to be there. Who knows what happens with the Cavs? Who knows what happens with the Knicks? But you got challengers there. So it'll be tough. But even if they lose in the second round, if it gives them guidance towards a move to make them better in the summer, I still count that as a win because they are ahead of the game.
No, I think that makes sense. It's going to be, like I said, they're just going to be interesting to watch because they've been the best, one of the best teams in the league. They have the second best record. They're very fun to watch. They're by far ahead in the East. There's a lot of fight in them. I'm going to be curious to see how that plays out with the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, no pun intended there. All right, coming up next, let's go over to the Western Conference. Let's look at 2 things that we find interesting over there for the remainder of the season. That's coming up here next to today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Nights brought to you by FanDuel. You ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. So here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you're going to be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, the Pistons, the Celtics, this is the perfect time to lock it in. And I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or just grab a conference title. It's going to add that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. And this is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our businesses and think, there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing's going to get missed. And everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. Works from your phone, your computer. You can even keep your existing number. They also have AI tools that are just going to make sure nothing slips through the cracks. So it's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first six months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering literally every single game across the association and the biggest topics. For my second listen, John, I'm actually going to make it Locked On Pistons. Kuka Hills, fun host. I like that he gets to experience some fun after what he went through a couple of years ago. I'm making Locked On Pistons my second listen today. And if you're an everydayer of this show, of any of our shows, check out the Everydayer Club. You're going to get ad-free audio of Locked On NBA Game Night or your favorite Locked On show, plus access to a members-only Discord to chat with other fans and NBA fans overall. Click the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, John, let's switch over to the Western Conference. Things that we're kind of interested in here, that we're kind of watching for the rest of the way. What you got over in the West?
I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets, and can they get healthy? Can they get healthy in time for a run? Peyton Watson's out. Aaron Gordon is out. These guys, important players who have, obviously Aaron Gordon is critical to their success.
Yes.
You had, how many games have they had fully together Jokic has been, was out for a while. Gordon with the hamstring in and out.
I mean, Gordon's only played 23 games this season, right?
Yeah. And so, and you're getting a really good Jamal Murray regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, which is great because he's stepping up. I just see the Nuggets as, if there's going to be a team that's going to derail OKC, I think it's going to be the Nuggets. They're the second best team in the West. And so I want to see them together, whole, and fully functional heading into the playoffs.
Right. Like, Jokic is still, in my opinion, you'll probably agree, the best player in the world right now. And he's been outstanding again this year. And it's like, man, when you have that guy, it feels like you're in everything. You just got to have enough of stuff around him. And you mentioned Aaron Gordon, like that's the key to that team, in my opinion, I think, right? Like what he allows them to do defensively and who he allows them to be, along with some of the 3-point shooting that he can really bring to this team, shooting 40% on the year. Like, he's the key guy. If he's healthy, they have a real chance, I think, at winning another NBA title.
They definitely do. I mean, look at what Jokic is doing.
It's silly, man.
28.7 points, 12.3 rebounds, 10.7 assists, averaging a triple double. If you can get Gordon and Watson in there, I mean, Watson has been a revelation for them this year.
Yeah, he's been very good.
Yeah, one of like the great stories of the summer. I mean, of the season. So I just give Jokic a little bit of help and he will handle everything. He will do everything. But you just need that Aaron Gordon kind of on the baseline, catching the lobs, being that outlet defensively, all of that stuff, popping out for three. All of it is so critical for Denver's success. I honestly think that they are a real threat. They are a real threat. And we know that, the history of champions recently, that they tend to go out in the second round for a while, and they don't, the repeat is tough, no matter who you are or how good you look heading into a season. I saw it with the Celtics last year. You just don't know how they are going to be mentally. And now even OKC is handling some injury stuff. So I don't know how they're going to come through that. I feel like Denver last year had a chance. I think this year they have a real strong chance. And frankly, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing Jokic get another ring. I wouldn't mind seeing like his greatness kind of be like, he's stamped. He has a ring.
He is, but there's going to be people that are going to be like, he only won one title, right? Like the second one makes you bulletproof. I think the second one makes him completely bulletproof, where there's like, I get what you're saying. It just kind of like ends the conversation and you don't need to like listen to the vocal minority. Whereas now, like, I don't know, do they have a bit of a point? They don't, but I get it here. Keeping in your same theme, right? Like, I'm picking the Houston Rockets here and wondering if they can kind of break into that title contending group in the West. I think we look at the West of OKC, Denver, and like maybe I'd put the Spurs in that group too, because Wemby is so ridiculous. I love De'Aaron Fox. Can Houston kind of break into that group of four? Because they're fourth in the West, but I would not put them in that top three group. Like, something is just a little off. And look, they're playing very injured. They don't have their starting point guard from the year in Fred VanVleet. Steven Adams just went down. He's been a very key piece for them. But like, this was the team that was supposed to just be tailor-made. You add Kevin Durant and it solves all of the problems, but offense has still been a problem, particularly in fourth quarters from them, right? Like, it just always feels like there's just something there with them.
Yeah, the offense is awful. And their whole thing was, okay, the offense isn't great, but we got Steven Adams. He's the best or second best, him and Jalen Duren, the offensive rebounder in the league. And those guys being out, VanVleet not being able to kind of set your offense, being, a person who can organize things.
You need that guy in clutch situations to just table set, right? And as you said, be organized, be the coach out there, all of that. Yeah.
Just do this, just do that, right? And be able to hit a shot himself, right?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay, no problem, I got this. But because the offense is such a mess, losing your best offensive rebounder, one of the best in the league, now their offense was just, all right, it's okay if we miss because we're just going to get these putbacks and we're going to be okay. that's no longer the case. So I question whether they're actually going to be able to get together enough offensive firepower to make that leap. The only caveat here is now we're through the All-Star break. Kevin Durant, I don't know how he's been pacing himself. If he is ready to take like a step forward and post All-Star break, say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do more now. We've kind of coasted along. We're fourth in the league in the West. Okay, you're not going to catch OKC, but can you move up? You can catch Denver. You can maybe catch the Spurs. So let's see if Kevin Durant finds another level to carry that offense. And so it can match the defense a little bit. If he can do that, then we might have something here. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take Kevin Durant being like turning back the clock.
That's the answer, because there isn't anything else. There's no other move they can make, right? Like even their GM was like, maybe it's just not our year. And so I wonder if they actually can even just get in there, and he doesn't seem to think so. That's why, maybe they could have gone for Giannis at the trade deadline. They have young players and all the assets to try and trade, but they just seem like a little, I think they know it's, as he said, right? Like maybe it's just not our year. So let's not do something short-sighted, which I appreciate that approach to it too. But also you signed Kevin Durant. Right? Like it should never not be your year, in my opinion. And maybe it's just, as you said, on Kevin Durant to just go and lead that team. And, when you look at their roster, like, yeah, that's probably the only answer that they could try and come up with.
Yeah. I mean, why did you get Kevin Durant in the first place?
Yeah, for this.
This is what he's here for. This is the time.
It's not the tweeting.
Right. It's not the tweeting. No, it's, I understand they're actually in a good spot. Right. Fourth in the West. It's not a bad spot to be.
We're not saying they're like bad, right? But I just don't view them as a title contender.
I don't trust them. I don't trust their offense. Like their defense can be great. I don't trust the offense enough. So, but if KD can be KD, then that changes the equation.
All right. Coming up next, let's look at a couple just league-wide topics here. Could that be impacted with trades, tanking? We'll cover it all in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Nights brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and that one position you have to fill is just sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, that's a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the few moments I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On NBA Game Night. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering everything you want to know about the association. We're going to be here all throughout the playoffs, through the finals, into the offseason as well. We never take a break here on Locked On NBA, whether it's Game Night or the Daily Show as well. So make us your first listen today. For your second listen, make it just your favorite Locked On NBA team. Maybe it's Locked On Celtics with John, Locked On Pelicans, I don't know why, with me, but it could be just threw that one in there.
I know why.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not going to get brought up in this segment, not even as we kind of take a league-wide look here, right, of things we're kind of watching for. And I'm going to throw this one out that has been a topic of All-Star Weekend, and that is tanking. How bad is the tanking going to actually be? The Pelicans are actually going to try and win games. They're just bad. But this conversation, I thought, really kind of dominated a lot of the talk around All-Star Weekend. The Utah Jazz just being fine. Same with the Indiana Pacers. We don't need to get into trying to fix it and all of that. My thing that I'm really going to be looking for is, did those fines do anything, or is just this going to continue to be as egregious as possible? And it is egregious. It is shameless. And you know what? It's what those teams should be doing. So I totally get it.
this is my thing. I just wrote a column at on the Celtics on SI page. I don't care. I don't care about the tanking. I really don't. Like
we shouldn't, right? Like we should be focusing on good stuff.
We should be. And I just, like, I get it. You know, the Jazz are taking it to another level, following in the footsteps of the Toronto Raptors, playing their guys. Like, I think we want our tanking to look like at least they pretended that the guys were hurt, but playing your best players for 20, 25 minutes and then not playing them in the fourth quarter. So you lose. Okay. I understand. And that's something that maybe needs to be tweaked. You can maybe start eliminating pick protections and stuff like that. And you can get into all kinds of things. But when your team is rebuilding and it's a good draft, you want your team to be as bad as possible. Fans want their team to be like, you know what?
The fans get it. The fans totally get it. I've covered tanking years here in New Orleans, and the fans were like upset if the team won a game.
Yeah, and I get, like, it's a little unseemly, right? Feels dirty, but that's what it is. And no matter what proposal people make to fix it, there's always going to be a problem. And my number one thing, Jake, is once it works for the teams that it works for, those front offices,
it's a blueprint, right? Like
celebrated.
Yeah.
Who tanked harder than OKC for a couple of years? It worked out for them. And Sam Presti is a genius.
The year they got Chet, they tanked. They absolutely
tanked.
You know, they were trying to get Wemby to put on that team. Everyone was tanking for Wemby. And look at the Spurs now, right? Look at OKC getting Chet in that draft too. Like, yes, they absolutely get celebrated for it because that's a way to build a team. We've seen it. It's a blueprint. It's kind of as simple as that. You know, I wonder if it's going to stay this bad or if teams will make some like go back. You know, it used to be stealth tanking is what it was. And now it's just like openly doing it. And I wonder if this will be a thing. You know, I thought it was interesting right before the All-Star break, the Pelicans played the Kings. And like, if you looked at the impressions on social media, TikTok and others for that game, it was higher than any other game that night because everyone was kind of leaning into the, like, it's so bad, it's good territory of that. Like when you're watching like a terrible movie and you're like, this actually sucks, but hey, let's kind of just all be in on a joke together. And it's like one of those moments, like, do you think a team's going to lean into it at one point? Like that's a great way to generate impressions and stuff. Like if you looked at it, that was the game of the night. And I think they had combined under 30 wins, under like 28 wins. It shouldn't have been. The Pelicans ran away winning by like 30 points because the Kings were shameless too. There's weird ways you could like spin it in a sense, but also like the league office has to be furious about all this.
The league, it does need to be fixed to some degree. Right. Like I said, the Jazz aren't trying to be the worst. They're just trying to keep their pick. And that's a little bit different. That's a little unseemly.
Yeah.
What the Sixers did last year was to keep their pick because of the protections. That's a little bit
Dallas 2 years ago where they openly admitted to it, got fined and didn't care.
Yes. And that's where, like, we understand you want to get to the bottom or near the bottom 3, because those are leveled odds. Fine. But then to have a second layer of tanking of teams that are just trying to keep their picks. So now you have, a top 8 protected, a top 10 protected, a top, like the Pacers just made the trade for Zubac and their pick is top 4 protected. Yeah. And then 10 through whatever. So people are like, are they going to just really, really, really try to lose? Or are they going to start winning to try to get to 10 and keep their pick that way? So that is another layer of tanking that needs to be addressed. The other stuff, you're just going to have to live with it, because that, as long as the system is, hey, we need to give our bad teams a way to kind of get better, then there's always going to be some kind of tanking there. You just have to live with it. It's okay. It's the other stuff, the protection stuff, that I think needs to be fixed.
Yeah. What you got?
You know what? I'm watching Giannis.
That's a good one.
You know, is he going to play? And again, this is a little bit of
that could get contentious and ugly too. Like I saw that in New Orleans where AD requested a trade. The Pelicans tried to shut him down, and then the league was like, "No, you have to play him, or we're going to fine you."
Yeah, and so if he's healthy, and now he's hurt, right? So he has recurring calf issues. So it's a calf thing. You can easily spin this. What if they played 53 games. So you've got 29 games left. You can easily find a way to sit him out long enough where you've accomplished your tanking goals.
But does he want to play? What if he wants to play?
That's the thing. Does he want to play?
What's super interesting about this.
That's what I'm watching. That's one of the things. Just how does that impact their relationship?
Yeah.
Does it make him want to stay for some reason? Do they figure out a way to move through this? I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. I think Giannis has been handled this situation kind of poorly.
Yes,
and
he has.
I love Giannis. I think he's been great for the league and great for Milwaukee, but this situation is he's just handled it so poorly because he doesn't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So now what happens after that? Does he still want out? Do they still move him? How does him play? There's a lot of stuff still kind of brewing over these last almost 30 games for him. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm going to throw one more out at you before we wrap up because I want to throw this out here. It's it goes back to the Eastern Conference. I'm really going to be watching Orlando too. Okay. Really watching Orlando to see if they figured out. They're really committed to this team and it just has not worked. So they're kind of they're like a reverse of Detroit. Like where do you go from here? Kind of with like kind of that pot
crossroads,
right? That pot commit move of going after Desmond Bane and it being like, that was supposed to be what really elevates you. And they're sitting 28 and 25 with a really expensive team.
Yeah, that's of all the top 9 teams, they're the only one with a negative point differential. Yeah, another team whose offense is awful, and that stretch of like, oh my god, are they better without Banchero?
That's the thing, right? Like that really, you don't want those conversations coming up.
No, let's throw, since we're gonna rapid fire out here.
Yeah, last one.
James Harden in Cleveland.
I mean, I love it. They're fun.
Yeah,
I'm real curious.
Cavs, real tough season, and then now they're 4th. They're a game behind the Knicks, a game and a half behind the Celtics. Everybody said Detroit and Cleveland top 2. It's not exactly how we thought they'd get there, but it could be Detroit and Cleveland top 2 when this thing is all over.
Kind of like that trade for both sides, the Clippers and Cavaliers, as you kind of like look at it and see it unfold. You're like, oh, okay, did we just get a win-win kind of deal? And it quite possibly, yes. Yeah. See, it's the stretch run of the NBA season. There's a ton to watch, a ton to look at. We're going to be covering it all over on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's going to do it for us here on this Wednesday, day after Mardi Gras, but dressed up for Mardi Gras here for me. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of Locked On Celtics.
We'll see y'all next week. Happy Mardi Gras for those who celebrate.
I've got the fat part of Fat Tuesday down.